Warn of my wrath if they shall enter into my rest, although the works were finished from the foundation of the world. For he spake in a certain place of the seventh day on this wise, and God did rest the seventh day from all his works. And in this place again, if they shall enter into my rest, seeing therefore it remaineth that some must enter therein, and they to whom it was first preached do not enter in because of unbelief. Again, he limiteth a certain day, saying to David, Today, after so long a time, as it is said, if ye will hear his voice, harden not your hearts. For if Jesus had given them rest, then would he not afterward have spoken of another day. There remaineth therefore a rest to the people of God. So I believe this passage is talking about how the New Testament Christian deals with the Sabbath day. That's a whole other thing. But personally, I simply believe the Sabbath points to Jesus, just like the cities of refuge do. That Jesus is our eternal rest. We rest in him, completely free from our works, free of anything we can do. It's a free gift that we simply have to acknowledge by faith. And in that way, Jesus is our rest. Jesus is our Sabbath. He is our city of refuge today. Jesus is not only our city of refuge, but he can be the city of refuge for the whole world, for anybody that believes on him. Now, it's interesting. Back in we're looking here at the cities of refuge. It talks about this death of the high priest. It says, they have to stay there until the death of the high priest. They have to stay there until the death of the high priest, and then they can go back home. One thing Jewish historians did not have a good idea of is why that is. So I thought that's a little strange. Why is it that the high priest is the one that determines how long? Because again, if you got an old high priest, you might only have to be there a few months. Then you can go home. If they just put a new guy in, you might have to be there for quite a while. And so that's kind of an odd thing. And they didn't really, as far as I could find, they didn't necessarily have a good explanation of it. But what I do know is that Jesus is our great high priest. And Jesus, his death, paid for our sins. And with the death of our high priest, we can enter into the rest that he's offered us. And so I even believe that even in that, now again, the Jews would not acknowledge that. Of course, they've rejected their Messiah. They wouldn't see it that way. But I believe that even in the death of the high priest, we see that we needed a testator to die for us, to pay for our sins so that we could have true rest. And we even see that there in these cities. But as we prepare to close here, I hope this was a help to you. I hope this was an encouragement to you. If you're saved today, I encourage you to stay in that city of refuge. Don't leave the fellowship that God's given you with this church. This is a good-looking, good-sized church here. Good amount of people here on a Sunday morning. Don't leave this just because somebody may have offended you or something rubbed you the wrong way. Don't blame me. I'm not the pastor. If you didn't like my preaching, come back next week. Don't hold the church accountable for me. I'm just a visitor. But perhaps there's someone here who has not actually run to Christ for their refuge. Somebody here who's heard the gospel time and time and time again and has always put it off and said, well, yeah, I've grown up hearing this. I don't really know if it's true or not. Count yourself blessed that you grew up in a country where you could hear it week in and week out and week in and week out until you get tired of hearing it. There are people in other parts of the world, we'd even talked about it this morning, who can go years without ever hearing a clear presentation of the gospel. That Jesus Christ came and died for our sins and rose again the third day so that we can live in eternity with him. That Jesus did that for us, and if we simply believe on that, we believe that truth, that we can be a child of God. There are people, full-grown adults in different parts of the world who have never heard that before. And we saw at the very beginning here, talking about, ignorance is not an excuse. For them, ignorance will not be an excuse. And that's a very sobering, a very sad thought, actually, that people could live and die and not hear a clear presentation. And when they stand before God, that's not an excuse. He's not going to say, well, you never heard, so that's okay. He's going to say, no, you should have known. You should have heard. Creation testifies of Jesus and who he is. You should have known. That's the importance of getting the gospel out there across the world. But there's obviously people in Florida, people in America who have not believed on the gospel as well. If that's you today, I'd pray that you come and be saved. You can be saved this morning. There's no sacrament you have to do. There's nothing special that you have to do. You just got to look to Jesus and be saved. And that was a promise given to all the earth. So if you're on the earth, that promise applies to you, by the way. If you're a whosoever, That applies to you. Maybe there's a family member, there's a friend who you know is not saved, and you don't necessarily want to witness to them because you know that it could be difficult, could be hard to have that conversation, it could change the relationship. They might not like what you have to say, and they might not want to listen to you after that, but you could be the difference between heaven and hell for that person in your life as well. Whatever the Lord might be working on your hearts, I pray that you would listen to it. I pray that I would listen to it as this preaches to me just as much as it preaches to anyone else. But I'll go ahead and close in prayer. Pastor can come up and